Hey guys, B8KD here. Today we're going to be checking out the new C, B, A, and X type props or propulsion modules. We're going to see how much difference there are between like the C and X. Is it worth upgrading to even a B or an A? And you can kind of decide if the extra velocity or negative signature radius is worth it for these units. Now just going down, and we're going to start off on the large. We're going to go large micro warp drives and all the other micro warp drives first. We're going to try it out on some of the most popular ships and go from there. So first off, if we check out our C-type large micro warp drive, we're at 514% flight velocity adjustment. Power grid is 1533. Capacity multiplier should be the same. Activation cost is 372 gigajoules, and the signature radius is 413%. Activation time should be the same. If we look at our X type, we are at 520%, which that's a 6% velocity difference. The power grid is 1686. So that is a ton more power grid, but you can never really max out a battleship's power grid, so that doesn't really matter. Activation cost is a little bit higher, and you have about a 50% signature radius boost. So that's actually pretty good, say the least. You get a little bit of a flight velocity. So yeah, it's not too bad. Honestly, it might not be that worth it on the micro warp drives to upgrade from a C to an X unless you really want to get that little extra bit of speed out of battleship. But honestly, the extra 100 speed or less isn't worth it in my opinion. So let's go into our small micro warp drives now. Our C type, we'll just look over 514% flight velocity adjustment, power grid 18, activation cost 57, 413%. So you have a 13% better signature radius. We are at 516 flight velocity on the B type. So from the C to the B, doesn't look like there's much of a difference. I don't think it really warrants the upgrade, to be honest. So unless our B types are pretty cheap, I probably wouldn't go for that. Now A type, we are at 518% flight velocity. That's only a 4% difference. And the activation cost goes from 57 to 58, which is just minuscule. Power grid is at 20. You know, it might be worth the flight velocity on the micro warp drive. It's just hard to say. Yeah, that's a tough one. You get a little bit better signature radius, 389 versus the 413. But does that really matter? I guess, you know, the signature radius paired with the little extra bit of speed gives you more speed tank, so I imagine that's worth it. Now going to our X type, this is where it gets juicy. We are looking at 520% flight velocity, 20 power grid, 59 gigajoules activation, and 377 signature radius adjustment. So 377, it's about a 50% signature radius adjustment, which is big, and a 6% flight velocity adjustment. So the A or the X, I think, are the top tier ones. The B is kind of like, if it's cheap enough, go for it. But I would definitely go for the X if you're looking for a big upgrade. So we're going to skip on the mediums for a minute. Let's go ahead and just take a few of our ships out. Our first one is going to be a Daredevil. Now I'm going to show you how I have it fit. I have not equipped the X type yet, but I have the A, B, and C on there. And I only have one tier 3 auxiliary thruster, which I'll slap another one on just to try out the X type to see how fast we can get it. So let's go ahead and undock and check our speeds. Alright, first on the list is just our C-type. So let's go ahead and pop this baby, and everybody's going to give me shit for how I open up my menu, but that's alright. So just a disclaimer, all of my skills are 555 on Micro Warp Drive and Afterburner to mimic my main account on the live server. So with one thruster and the C-type, we're going 4,800 meters a second. Let's turn this off. Okay, on to the B-type. We're going 4907, so just a slight difference. And let's pop on this baby. We're going 4922. So you see the difference is very minimal, to say the least. Let's go pop on our X-type really quick. Okay, let's go ahead and pop our X drive. Okay, pull this baby up. We are going 4937, so that's about a 50 meters a second difference from the C drive. Now our signature radius is 127. Ah, shit. Okay, and let's do our C drive there, targeting 137. So you get a 10 meters signature radius reduction and about 50 meters a second speed. So if you're really looking to min-max, you can really decide, is that really worth it for you, the extra 50 speed and signature radius reduction. It will make you dodge about probably 5 to 10% more shots fired at you or get more glances, so it could help in the long run. If you're really going out there and brawling and not dying much, it would be 100% worth it. So let's just slap on another auxiliary thruster and see how fast we can really go. Alright, so let's just pop our X drive with two auxiliary thrusters on, and we are looking at 5,500 meters a second. So that's what you're to expect on a Daredevil at least. Let's try a different ship now. Okay, next on the list is the Angel Cartel Dramio. This is one of the faster ships, faster frigates to say the least. BCA. So we're going to stop right here. Let's pop our C drive with one auxiliary thruster popped. Now we are going 4,900 meters a second, which isn't too bad. And our signature radius is 106. That's interesting. The Dramio is a lot smaller than the Daredevil. So let's pop our B drive. Okay, about the same results, 4934. Targeting 103 meters a second. Next up is our A drive. And we are at 4949. So the difference on micro warp drives isn't that much at all. 101 signature radius, but let's pop on our X drive and go from there. Here we go, our X drive. Now we are going 4963 and our signature radius is 98. So, you know, it's not that much of a difference on the small micro warp drives, but I think that added speed tank, especially on a tiny ship like this, will make it extremely hard to hit. But yeah, let's get into another ship. Alright, so I'm just going to throw this one in for fun, but this is a Slasher Interceptor, which has the highest base navigation out of all of the frigates. So this is the speediest ship in the game, in my opinion, unless you fit like a large or medium afterburner and medium micro warp drive on a succubus. But so I got 3 tier 3 auxiliary thrusters at 20% and a X-type small micro warp drive. Let's go ahead and just pop this and see how fast we can actually get this thing going. 6,500 meters a second, which is pretty intense. That's just for a slasher interceptor, so you can really tackle stuff with this. Slap a Predator warp disruptor on, you're hitting things at 35 kilometers, I think, and going 6,500 meters a second. That is pretty juicy, and the signature radius, even with the micro warp drive, is 42. I'd like to see you try to hit one of these things. Oof. Alright, on to our medium stuff. Let's dock up. Alright, next on the chopping block, we are going to go medium micro warp drives. If we look at our seat... Oh, that's not the right one. Just a sec, where is it? I must have not spawned a C... Oh, I did. C-type medium micro warp drive. We are at 514 flight velocity. We are at 170 power grid. Activation cost 240 and signature radius 413. Let's go to our B-type. We are at 516 flight velocity, so it's only 2% per, I think, level up. Activation cost and power grid. So power grid is 6 more power grid. Let's go down to our A-type. We are at 518 flight velocity, more power grid at 181. Activation cost 246, so it's getting up there. 246 activation versus 240, so that's not much at all. This one we got 520 flight velocity, 187 power grid, 249 activation cost, and signature radius. It's showing about the same, about 50% signature radius reduction. So it gives you that added speed tank, or at least a little extra speed tank with a little extra flight velocity. So let's go ahead and suit up in a Cinnabol and just do some comparisons. I only have one tier 3 auxiliary thruster on these builds. Also try an Ashimu as well. Alright, let's pop our C-type. So we are going 3,093 meters a second. Let's turn that off. Okay, for our next one here, we are going 3,100. Now this doesn't show my tablet's messing up. So let's do signature radius 351. Now our flight velocity is 3111 with a signature radius of 342, which I think it deactivated on the last one. And our X drive, let's go ahead and pop this. We are going 3121 speed, and we are 334 signature radius, 334. So 334 versus 359 signature radius and 3,093 meters a second. So like I said, not much of a difference on the micro warp drives. Let's dock up and just try the Ashimu. Alright, let's give our C-type a look-see. 2193 with a 462 meters a second. Or 362 signature radius. Reading the same numbers over and over again, driving me crazy. Okay, we are at 2200 with a signature radius of 451. Next on the list is the A-type. Okay, we are going 2206 meters a second at 440 signature radius. and last, our X drive. Let's pop this baby. Turn that off. Going 2213. Not too bad. And a signature radius of 429. So, is that slight edge really worth it to you guys? I think it may be if it's a ship you fly a lot and you feel pretty safe in. Or if you're doing some type of, speed tanking with a micro warp drive, which you wouldn't be doing, but it will allow you to at least sort of speed tank, I guess. Alright, let's go look over the Afterburners now. Alright, so now we are on to our small Afterburners. Let's go ahead and just take a look at our seed type. 153% flight velocity, power grid 15, activation cost 25. Now this one has a 158 flight velocity, 16 power grid, activation cost 25. So they're honestly not that different. 153 to 158. Actually, that's quite a bit. What is that? 5 or 6, whatever type of math is on there. I'm sure someone in the comments will add that up for me. So when you start getting to the A type, this is where things get a little bit juicy. So the activations cost is still the same, power grid 16, but the flight velocity adjustment is 163 versus 153. That's 10% flight velocity. That's half of a 20% rig, which is a lot. But when we get to our X type, we got a 167, so that's almost entire 1T3 rig. Power grid is just barely different at 17, activation cost 26, which doesn't matter. So the Afterburners have much more value to upgrade than the small micro warp drives, in my opinion, or micro warp drives in general. 15% is actually quite a bit, to say the least. But I have a Succubus and a Phantasm and then a Slasher Interceptor I'm going to try out. Just slapping this together. Let's undock and check it out. Okay, first on the list, let's check out our C drive. We don't need to check out signature radius, so I can open it like this and not get shit for it. We are sitting at 3238 speed. Let's pop our B type, small afterburner. We are at 3364 now, which is quite a bit. This server's really buggy. Okay, on to that one. This is our A type. We are going 3301. So let's just turn that off, 3301. Versus our C type, 3238. So that's actually a pretty big difference, about 70 kilometers. Let's go fit up our X drive and check it out. Alright, the moment of truth. How fast is this little bug gonna go with a X drive afterburner? Let's pop this baby and check this out. We are going 3415, so that's about 150 to 200 meters a second faster, which is absolutely huge on a Succubus. Let's pop a medium afterburner on. Let's see if we can fit an X drive, which probably isn't practical with the power grid, but slap her on, see how fast she goes. Okay, the power grid actually does warrant for a medium X drive. I don't think it's going to be a problem for all you medium afterburner runners. Let's go ahead and open this up. We are going 7392 meters a second. So we're going 7,392. That is pretty damn fast. I don't think you can bank very well. And remember, this only has one auxiliary thruster on it. Whew, man, we're just flying. Alright, so I'm not too sure if I talked about medium afterburners yet. I'm losing my mind talking about the same thing over and over again. But our C type is 153, B type 158, A type 163, and X type 167. So 167 versus your 153, exactly the same. So 7% difference in velocity. The activation time or activation cost is 160 versus 154, so hardly anything at all. While we're talking about that, we can talk about our large. So it's 153 versus an A, which is 163. So they're all the same. They go in the same increments, to say the least. But I am fitted up in my Phantasm with one Tier 3 auxiliary thruster, and we'll see how fast we go. And here we go. Let's do our C type. We are going 2180 meters a second. Let's go on to our B type. Pop this baby right open. 2223. For some reason I feel like that's slow for a Phantasm. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, pop in our next one. We're at 2267. And that was our A type. And last but not least, let's go for our X type. 2300 meters a second. Not too shabby. Okay, last but not least, I got a Slasher Interceptor. I still have the 3 Tier 3 velocity rigs on there, which isn't very practical at all. But this is a X-type small afterburner, and we're going 3100 meters a second, which that is actually extremely good speed tank. You can pretty much speed take any type of anomalies with that type of speed, especially in a small little interceptor like this. As long as you don't get double or triple webbed, you should be good to go. Well guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you think about the micro warp drives and the afterburners. Do you think the micro warp drive upgrades are even worth it? Do you think the afterburner upgrades are even worth it? In my opinion, I think the afterburner upgrades are 100% worth it, especially if you are doing any type of PvE content. For PvP, I'm not too sure if it's worth it, just because I know how expensive they're going to be, and getting your ship blown up is usually going to happen. Even if you're the best pilot ever, you're going to blow up ships like crazy, and that could foot you a pretty expensive bill. Pretty penny. But that's just my thoughts on things. Be sure to throw me a thumbs up, a like on the video. This did take me quite a while to make. But yeah, I will see you tomorrow during the update, and we are going to scam the crap out of some people. See you on the next one. Peace.